Right, we're back again, and this time it's a little bit darker around here. It's gone night time. So we've still got the cup on here. As you can see, I've got a little blanket covering up all the things. I've given this a bit of a blowout with the air blower, and not too sure you can't see in there too much. I can bring this light down. You can sort of see in there, nice little features in that. It's going to be a nice little cup when we're finished. So, as I said in the last video, the next stage is basically getting some resin on it and letting it sit and set for its 7 days to have this exciting time of becoming food safe. Alright, so from here we basically need to move over to the resin room. The resin room is over there on the other side. The whole pile of stuff ready to go. So I'll undo this thing out of here and we'll move over there. We'll pause for a minute. I'll see you in a sec. Well, that took a little bit longer than expected. I had to totally rearrange the camera mounting because it was too close to me. So you're now mounted to a drawer. So if I get sick here, I can just push you away. But for now, we'll keep you close. Just for now. Alright. So first thing to do, here, adorn the gloves. And this here is a little resin section. So if I do push you back a bit, you can actually see it all. Alright. This is where the resining all happens. We keep it all under wraps, under here. And just off camera up here is what we call the low bake. The low bake is where everything gets stored overnight. It's all pretty much sealed to keep the dust out, supposedly. We also have the high bake up there, which is just a smaller version and a lot higher. So he's high and he's low. But anyway, to do these, you'd be surprised on the amount that you really use. So the stuff that we use is Fleece Watson, glass finish. You've got part A and part B sitting here. And we have a little bit of a chart that we've made up. Shout out to Tracy for that one. We made up a nice little chart there because basically this is a 3 to 5 mix that we use for this stuff. So we can have a quick look up there and we just know that if we need to do something on here, we can have a look up and we can go, okay, we need probably about 16 mil, somewhere around about that, so we're going to do a 10 and a 6 mix. So this is about 16 mil. So I'm going to be coating our little one that we've been making, but also that's going to take up a lot more, a lot less than what I'm going to make up. So I'm going to put a little bit on top of this one here, which is another cup that's been in the making. So while we're here, might as well do two birds with one stone. So I'll just use these little measuring cups here, and off camera here I've just got a little tray for each one. That's for the resin, and that one's for the hardener. So I'll just give these a quick wipe out, make sure there's nothing inside them. I store them upside down in here, even though they're underneath this plastic sheet all the time. They all live in here underneath, but they still sit upside down. Keeps the dust out. Just a little bit of smarts there. So to do this lot, realistically I think for a first coat, it doesn't always turn out the best the first coat, because that's the first coat on that one. I think if we just do 8 mils, so if we do a 5 and 3 mix, which is quite a common one we do here. So about 5 mils. This is the cup that we've been using for a long time. This here was actually formed inside that cup there, and then one day squeezed it hard enough that the resin actually allowed it to let go, because it's plastic on plastic, and it slid out, and I've cut it and made so much resin inside this one cup, and we just tip it upside down, and there's a log sitting here, which you can see. This is filling up inside, and that's going to be turned into something later on, because there's a big hollow out in the log, so all our waste resin is not wasted, it's put into there, into another project for the future. So 5 mils of that, 5 mils, less than what you have in a cough syrup. So we'll pour that into there. Oops, I dropped it. It can sit in there for a minute. Anyway, so we need 3 mils of hardener. I've actually managed to use one of these little medicine syringes for the hardener, because 3 mils is, you basically pour it into one cup and then you pour it into another. You're leaving a mil behind in that cup, so this way seems to work a little bit better. Fill it up because it's a 3 mil syringe. Makes it easy. Take that cup out of there. And shoot that into there. Got to wipe off. He goes back up onto the hardener spot. Onto the resin spot. Resina. Thinking of Trent Reznor. But anyway, as you can see, we've got the old resin here, and you got to stir. So they say for about 2 minutes of stirring, we should make for some exciting film footage. I can tell you that right now. So see you in a sec. Alright, so we're all stirred up here. Minimal bubbles, but you're still going to get a few in there. That's quite fine. They'll come out. Right, so the way I do this at the moment, unless if I come up with a better idea, is to get the cup, bring it a bit closer, pour in some of it, as you can see, it runs around in there quite nicely. Get some light in the right spot. I don't have professional lighting. Oh, hang on, I've got a little one here. Maybe that'll help us. Ooh, look at that. Anyway, so get the finger in there and just wipe it on. You can see the wood starting to go a bit darker in colour. To reduce the colour change, you can put sanding sealer on it. Sometimes I do, I keep forgetting, but you know, Jarrah is known to be a bit darker than the other woods. When it first goes on, it doesn't look so much darker. Then when it soaks in, it definitely has a colour change. Now the one trick to do when doing this is to try not to spill it everywhere. Oops, I'm a bit off camera there, aren't I? Sorry. I'll push it back there, you can probably see a bit more. So, yeah, try not to spill it everywhere, but to rub it all over the actual cup and get it totally coated. Now this one here, because it's got such a deep feature inside the middle here, it's going to have a session where it's going to sit with one drop of resin going straight in there and filling up that little spot, but not too full that it's going to leave a little flat part in there. So that will come about later on. So we'll get it all nicely coated so it can soak it in, because this first coat will actually get soaked up quite a fair bit. You'd be surprised how much it will. soak into this dry wood. But the other trick is to try and keep this hand away from the resin as much as you can. And this one here just gets lathered in it. The idea of that is you can actually do things with this hand without touching anything, because as soon as you touch anything with this stuff, it's sticky as. And that's not straight away because it's all runny, as you can see. It's all quite very runny. But as soon as it starts to dry, it becomes very, very sticky. Now working with it, you get probably about 10-20 minutes working time depending on the temperature of the day. The cooler it is and the thinner the coat, the more time you have. Now, I've got quite a decent pool in the bottom of this. Don't know if you can see that or not, but that's the idea, is that bottom end grain will actually soak up more than the rest of the cup. So make sure there's nothing inside, it's all nice and smooth. And then we just give it a quick wipe around, making sure that all this resin, the thicker resin, goes towards the bottom of the cup on the outside, so that you don't get any big runs. Because according to the book, one coating of this stuff is the equivalent of 60 coats of varnish. So, still trying to determine what they mean by a coat, but anyway. So I do a quick wipe around like that. On the inside, same thing, wiping it downwards, because as I said, the little pool at the bottom is quite fine, because this one's going to soak up a fair bit, and it's got those features in the bottom there that really need to fill in as much as we can. So that there is first coat resin. It's basically a wipe on. I do them on the lathe as well with centrifugal, but that one there, I believe and feel that that has gone on as a really nice coat and doesn't need to be spun so much. Still a bit too much at the top here. And the idea now is you put it into the bake, which is just a foam box up there, which seals out all the dust, and allow this to settle. You can see it's really starting to form a thicker line than what it looked like before. So we just give that a wipe around again. Now, if you do get any bubbles inside these things, you flame them out. So I'll just rest that there for a second. I'll just nip off cam for a minute. So we have blowtorch, which is why we keep this hand not so shiny. Blowtorch, you light it away from above it, because I've learnt in the past if you light it above it, sparks and flames and bits coming out of there end up in there and get stuck in there. So you light it out here, see all the little bits, then you go over. Just a quick zap 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 inside there. I'd love to be able to show you, but I can't get the camera angle at the same time. I'll do that at a later date. And it just pops all the bubbles because it removes the oxygen, so the bubbles come out. And you end up with, hopefully you can see that, a nice shiny surface in the bottom. So give that a bit of a roll around, make sure it's sitting dead flat. And that is ready to go into the bake. So we open up the bake. And in it goes. Now the bake is set dead level. Don't know if you can see that or not. I'll just try to lift that up. There we go. Now you can see the bake. So this is the bake. I'll just open that up. And he's just put in there. This is another project. But that there is doing first coat resin. So we'll call that one first coat resining. Alright. This one is going to get a little bit of a coating from the rest that I got left in here. But that's a different project. Alright, see you.